Hi everyone, bonjour, bonsoir, hi, hello from the French department at QE. Delighted to be here tonight and looking forward to receiving your questions that we're going to be answering over the next half hour. I'm Louise Nicholson, one of the French teachers here. We also have Kate Neild and Delphine Cross, who's our French assistant as well. So I'm representing the French department tonight. That's me. I think we'll go over to German maybe.
Hello, hi, I'm Roswitha Wagenknecht. I'm the German teacher together with Silke Aldrich, who is not here tonight. I'm at the moment in the room which we share with Spanish. This is why you might see some Spanish words on the wall. I'm looking forward to hearing from you.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm having a few technical camera difficulties. I'm Sarah Fisher-Stout. I'm the Spanish teacher, along with Alicia Garcia, the native Spanish speaker, who's my Spanish assistant, and Rob Raper, who also helps out in the Spanish department.
Okay. So, thank you. So if you have any questions, you might just like to type them into the chat. That's no, sorry, not the chat, the Q&A at the bottom. Yeah. So if you want to pop anything up there that you'd like us to answer, that would be great. Thank you. Yes, I think it's up and working now. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Sorry, that's my technical help leaving there. Thank you very much. You might want to appreciate the French room behind you as well, that you can see here. Some of the, this is where you'd be studying with us. It's a lovely room. We're very well equipped in terms of equipment with computers that we use a lot for listening and other online activities. And also we do a lot of pair work and group work as well, in addition to just working on the computers, and then obviously the normal teaching that we have with our interactive whiteboard. And so we're very well equipped here. And as I say, it's a lovely room to work in and one where our students really feel quite at home. We tend to have quite small classes. Our biggest class at the moment is 16, so it's a really nice size because it allows you to have kind of quite a nice group dynamic, but at the same time it's small enough to be able to see everybody, give a lot of individual support. Our students are always really, really positive about the amount of support that they get from the languages department. We're always here, and even when we're at home, we're still just an email away. So I know our students are very, very happy here with us. So our first questions come in. Hi from Keisha. And how many hours a week do you do the subject? So all languages, all A levels are 5 hours a week. In French, we split that between myself and Kate. But the wonderful thing about doing a language at QE is that we also have a foreign language assistant that we've mentioned before, Delphine in French, who is a native speaker, and you have an extra hour a week with her in a small group of about 5 people. So it's one way that you really make fantastic progress with your speaking. It's amazing to see how much difference everybody makes in a year. They really progress phenomenally in the first year, and then once you get into the second year, you have even more time. It's an hour and a half then, and you will have some time one-to-one as well to really, really focus on your research skills, your presentation skills, and also getting you just ready for that all-important oral exam at the end of it. So, thank you.
Shall I do the question to give you a bit of a break?
Do you want to do the next one?
Yeah.
Because it's about an ab initio. Go on.
So both in German and in Spanish, we now get ab initio students more regularly in German because there are fewer schools teaching German at the moment, and in Spanish because I don't know. But yes, so if you do that, you will get an hour of extra tuition to support you. And then if you're really motivated, after a year or so, you might catch up with that class. It's not an easy option. It's something for people who are really dedicated and who really want to do the language. But yes, it is possible. Yeah, you've got to be prepared to put the work in, not to be scared at first when people might know more than you. It's completely normal. But the option is there, yes.
Why do they have fluent you need to be in Spanish to do it at A level? Not fluent at all, really. You would need to come in with at least, well, this is answering another question, what grade would you need at GCSE to study an A-level language? Well, we asked for a 5 as a sort of minimum requirement. We're not expecting you to be fluent. You're not even fluent by the time you finish A-level. We just work with you to improve your fluency, so you don't need to worry about, you know, how well you can speak when you come in, because we really help you with that. And your hour with the a week with the Spanish assistant or the French assistant or the German assistant will really help you to improve your fluency anyway. And we don't split by ability, so you'll find that people are coming in from so many different places that everybody's on all different levels, so you just don't need to worry about other people. You just worry about yourself and, you know, what you can do to improve.
I would also, if I can chip in with that as well a bit, it's what we tend to find is because we take students from so many different feeder schools, everybody comes with different strengths and weaknesses. Some people are quite confident with the speaking, some people really hate listening, others are good at grammar. And it's really about trying to find what you need the help and support with as well. And we're there to try and plug those gaps from GCSE and to help everybody to move forward as well. Certainly in French, listening is something that a lot of people find really quite difficult. So we do use our wonderful facilities to try and help you to really improve your listening skills. At A level as well, I think it's much better than GCSE because you actually get a recording that you listen to on the computer and you can replay it as many times as you want to. So if there's like one tricky sound that you really don't get, you can keep on working on it until you think you've got it. But if you understand something first time, you can move straight on. So it's not like sitting there in the hall having your recording played out twice like you do at GCSE, which is, you know, not really what it's like in the real world. So I would say at A level, we're really sort of focusing on working on those skills that you would need in the world of work as well. So if you worked as a translator, for example, you would just really focus on the sounds or the words that you didn't get rather than kind of the whole thing repeated twice. Okay. Sarah, do you want to do there's a question from Ben about Spanish. Are there 4 separate tests?
And there are actually 3 separate tests. So you do an oral exam in which, if you went right to the A level, you do an independent research project. And then you do some topic cards on sort of comprehension questions and discussion on topics that we've done throughout the 2 years. You do another paper which has got listening comprehension, reading comprehension, summary questions and translating both ways on it. And then the other is 2 essays, which is 2 hours. And this is going to answer Liv's question, which you would have the film Volver, which we study, and we do Como agua para chocolate. So you'd have a question on each of those.
Okay,
Ros, do you want to talk a little bit about the A-level journey?
I do. So at German, as in the other languages, you do topics in the first year, topics that connect quite nicely with the GCSE young people in the German speaking world, media. You also do a topic about culture and tradition, which includes music and film. In the second year, the topic gets a bit more abstract. You talk about the history of contemporary Germany after the fall of the wall and what's going on at the moment politically and in society. and also you look at society as a multicultural unit and talk about the various groups and how they get on. You also, in the second year, watch a film and read a book. So you do language through topics. We also do grammar from scratch, conversation. It gives you quite a broad overview of modern Germany.
Shall I chip in a bit with the French as well, just for completeness as well? German and French do the same exam board, which is EDUCAS. Spanish does AQA. So it's essentially the same, just the papers are maybe in a slightly different order. So it's exactly the same with French. We're looking at French as a language, but also a lot about the culture and the society as well, societies in which it's spoken. So we're looking at all sorts of places all over the world that speak French. And I think that's a really nice difference from GCSE as well, because you're learning more about the country and the culture as well. Our historical topic is looking at the occupation of France, the Nazi occupation of France, and the resistance, which is sort of a key point in French history. So that really does appeal if people do history as an A-level as well. They really seem to enjoy that. And that feeds into the book that we do for A-level, which is called Le Silence de la Mer. It's a really small book. It's only about 40 pages long. And it's all about the story of a family who have to house a German officer and their resistance to him. The film that we study is a little bit lighter. It's a wonderful film called Antushable Untouchables. And it's based on a true story of a rich aristocrat who has an accident, and all about his carer who comes from a really rough part of Paris, and the unlikely friendship that develops between them. And it's a wonderful, heartwarming film. It's got great music and jokes and everything. So it's a nice contrast with the history topic that we do as well. So that's French, really. If it's okay, I'm going to answer another question that's come up from Holly as well. It said, would my confidence in speaking French improve when studying French at A-level? Absolutely, yes. I mean, people just make phenomenal progress and in their confidence as well as the level of their language. And certainly normally at these open events, we would have our students with us talking to you. And it's always so lovely to see our second years come along and help out and talk to people that they don't know, do mini presentations. When a year ago, they were sort of almost too scared to speak in front of the class. So I would say absolutely, Holly, your confidence improves in yourself as well as your own ability to speak French. So I hope that's answered that one. Do you want to talk about any trips? There's a question from Harry, Roswitha.
Okay. As you're probably aware, at the moment, it's a bit impossible to go anywhere. However, all our departments have links to the mother country. Now, in German, we've got a very good relationship with a school in northern Bavaria, and we've done a lot of exchanges to that place, Neustadt near Coburg. In the past, we've also been to Berlin, and I would love to go again. Bring on better times.
Sarah, did you want to chip in?
We've had students go on language courses because we find that's the best way, the sort of cheapest way for people to go, because obviously, well, before, when there were cheap flights, it was often cheaper for students to sort of organise their own trips to Spain if they were just going for leisure purposes than it is to organise an actual trip ourselves. So we've encouraged people to, we've got links with places that would offer work experience to students, and obviously, as I said before, students going on language courses, and they've come back and really had good experiences on those sort of organised kind of trips.
In French, we also have had a very successful homestay visit, both to Paris and to Lille as well, where you would go and stay with a French family in pairs. And we do trips during the day, so you get to see France, but also go and see how French people live as well by sharing their meals with them and chatting to them, watching TV with them. They might take you out places. So that's been a really nice thing to do in the past as well. So hopefully at some stage we may be able to take that up again. We also run various other just day trips, places too, to sort of, we've done film study events at the Tyneside Cinema in Newcastle. We've been quite involved with Durham University and their careers with languages work that they're doing, all of those sorts of things. So it's not just about going abroad, it's also sort of maybe cinema, theatre visits in the country as well. There's a couple of questions coming in as well about can you start the language from scratch, about studying it at sixth form if you've never studied it before. That is, Roswitha did talk about that before. German and Spanish have certainly got a lot of experience of this. In French, we have got somebody in the second year who did pick it up from scratch, who is actually is coping phenomenally well with it. So what we would say is certainly in French, if you're doing another language at GCSE, especially if it's Spanish, that will help you. But we will be looking at you getting quite a good grade, sort of, somewhere around an 8, to show that you are actually good at languages and can pick one up quickly, because as Roswitha said earlier, it is quite a big ask. So you've got to be prepared to have a lot of commitment and put in quite a bit of extra work. We will work with you and you'll get some extra tuition for that. Sarah's the one that's got the most experience with this. So Sarah, can you chip in a bit there?
Yeah, we've had a lot of success with students coming in, learning Spanish from scratch, because they tend to come in with a lot of enthusiasm and are prepared to work really hard, because it is, as Roswitha said, it is a big ask. But we've had students go on to Oxford and Cambridge who only started Spanish at A level. So it is possible, and it's possible to go really far with it. And we've generally been very pleased with their attitude, and you will get an hour extra a week as extra support. For the first term or so, you won't be expected to do very much except be in the lessons and just listen and sort of have support there. And usually we find that sort of after Christmas, if I ask somebody to come into a lesson, you probably won't be able to tell who started it from scratch and who's done GCSE already. So we're really pleased with the results we've had.
I think that might take us seamlessly to tell you a little bit about university as well. Yeah. In terms of our students who go on to university, we get a lot of people who do continue with their languages, often doing it with other subjects. It might be sort of quite classic combinations like history or English or 2 languages, but increasingly it's people sort of doing it with science as well, or business, marketing, international law, those kind of things that lead to some really interesting placements abroad. And we've got really fantastic success rates with getting people into Oxford and Cambridge. Sarah did mention that before. And also going to university abroad as well. We've had students go to Paris, to university there, and we've currently got Sarah who's in McGill University in Montreal doing French and Spanish there. So it's not just about going to university in the UK, it's also about going abroad as well. So I would say we get really fabulous success rates in terms of progressing on to university and higher education. I think there's one about the book and film as well that I spotted there in German, Roswitha. So which film and book?
Already answered that in writing.
Typed your answer. Oh my goodness, you're too efficient. Very good German efficiency.
I mean, there are a couple of German syllabus for the films is actually very good. There are a couple of good options, and I have also done Das Leben der Anderen in the past, which is a fascinating film. At the moment, we do Goodbye Lenin because it's just it's a funny film, and at the same time, it teaches you a lot about the time of the fall of the wall, and afterwards through the eyes of an East German family. And so it fits in really well with the other topic on the syllabus. And I've done it many years now, and I'm still not fed up with it, which is a good sign. It means it's a good quality film. And yeah, for the book, the Kafka Verwandlung, that is just simply the best text on the list. So I'm definitely sticking with that.
Do you want to tell us what it's about?
Oh, well, it's right. Kafka is one of the most famous modern writers, not just in German literature, but in world literature in general. No matter how good or bad your German is, you will remember this story. It's got one of the most dramatic beginnings of any story you can imagine. A young man wakes up in his usual bed in his room, but he's been turned into a giant insect. And the story goes on from there. You can imagine some problems arise.
So if you want to find out more, do A-level German. There's been a question from Gillian as well in terms of, in French, do you offer AS level in addition to A-level? We do. It's hardly anybody does AS level because people who start doing the subject tend to do it for 2 years for the full A-level. We do occasionally get somebody who's done it as a 4th subject just to sort of keep their options open, or perhaps who wanted to take a little bit more time and do it over 2 years, but only do the AS level. It's the same exams essentially as A-level in that you'll have listening, reading, translation paper. You'll have a shorter oral exam that doesn't involve the independent research project. And you'll just do a film, not the book. So it is a sort of easier version and a shorter version of A-level. So it is possible, it does exist, but there's not many people do it. But we can certainly cater for it. It's not a problem. Sarah, there's a question from Lucy there about Spanish coursework.
Or shall I tell her the bad news? I'm afraid there's no coursework. It's all examinations at the end of 2 years, but you'll be very well prepared for all that. So I wouldn't worry too much about it.
Yes, we thought when coursework disappeared from languages A-level a few years ago, we thought it might be followed by a massive dip in results, and it didn't make any difference at all. And I would say, if anything, the results possibly even improved without the coursework. I think people do actually quite like the fact that because language is something that you just get better and better and better at as time goes by, that it's all exams right at the end, rather than you having to produce some coursework, maybe say in the first term of the second year when your language isn't as strong as it would be in, say, the June of the second year. Your oral exams tend to be a little bit earlier, so they do sort of help to share the load of exams. You tend to do your oral exams in about April. So you get that over and done with, and then you'll focus on your writing exams in June. Okay. There's one. I think we've maybe answered Elizabeth's question there. What do you do in A-level German? I'm not sure, Elizabeth. Have we answered the question? I hope so. If not, Roswitha, is there anything else?
Well, maybe I can type a little bit. So.
Maybe type a bit, yeah.
So there are conversation classes. There are 5 classes with me in the whole group. In the conversation classes, you're split into smaller groups of usually 4 or 5, and you get to practice speaking in particular, because that's usually the most difficult skill, isn't it? That needs special training. I've mentioned that the topics for AS A-level pass rate is 100%. Yeah.
Yeah. We all have excellent pass rates and high grade rates as well. French 100% pass rate this year, well, always, but this year's what we call a high grade rate, which is A star, A, Bs. 84% of our students got that in French, 5 A stars as well. And last year it was 89% A stars to B, and again 5 A stars. So we're really, really proud of our students and their achievement that they get with us. Spanish, I'm sorry, I can't remember your pass rates off the top of my head. Well, 100% of course.
Absolutely, yeah. I've got a question here about speaking with a native speaker. How often do you speak with a native speaker in Spanish? Once a week, basically. Alicia is our Spanish assistant, and if you went to Hummersnot School, we share her with that school. So a lot of our students come in already knowing her. She's really lovely. She's from Malaga, and she had a lot of experience. So you get to speak to her in a lesson once a week. And obviously we try to speak as much Spanish as we can in my lessons as well.
Okay. So I think we've maybe answered all of your questions. We don't seem to have any further questions. Is there anything, Roswitha or Sarah, that we haven't mentioned that we maybe should? I think you've done really well with your questions. You've given us a really good range, a good grilling there, and I hope we've answered them okay for you. If there's anything that you think about afterwards, next week, next month, whatever, oh no, I wish I'd asked that, please just drop us a line. You can just send us an email to enquiries@qeliz.ac.uk. That's all on the website, and it will just get forwarded to us to answer. So that's not a problem. Just get back to us if there's anything that you think of that we haven't yet answered. So yeah. I think we're done. I think that's about it. So it's been lovely to chat to you, and we look forward, hopefully, to seeing people next term if the open events are open and here in college, and if not, then bridging, which is the end of June, beginning of July, and we'll hopefully see you there as well, where you can come and have a taster of our lessons, have a go at a couple of lessons and see what A-level study is really like. So it's been lovely to talk to you. So I'll say au revoir from French.
Bye.
Bye.